Hey everybody, I'm Kevin from Cruising with Wheels, and today we have another installment of Cruise News. Today we're discussing Port Canaveral, the Carnival Elation, Royal Caribbean and their shore excursions, and the NCL Encore. So like I said, this is another edition of Cruise News. Our Cruise News can be found in a playlist on our channel, as well as ship tours, tales from the high seas, and many other topics, all surrounding cruising. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell in case you want to be notified of our next video. So let's get right to it. The first piece of news we have for you today is all about Port Canaveral. Now, the Port Authority of Canaveral was awarded a $1.149 million grant from the federal government and state to increase port security operations and cybersecurity systems. That's all according to the press release we received. The port received $1 million that was specifically earmarked for port security, and that came directly from Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And an additional $149,000 grant will come in 2019 from the Florida Seaport Transportation and Economic Development Program. Captain John Murray, who's the CEO of Port Canaveral, was quoted saying, "Security is a top priority at Port Canaveral, and these grants help us support our mission to ensure the safety and security of our port. The funds will also allow us to employ new resources coupled with the latest technologies to enhance security measures." Port Canaveral was one of the 35 U.S. ports that received these grants through FEMA's $100 million PSGP program, which I believe stands for Port Security Grant Program. And they award them on a competitive basis each year to support the building and sustainment and delivery of core capabilities of ports, facility operations, and state and local government agencies. So that's really exciting. It'll be exciting to see what they end up implementing at Port Canaveral. Now, I know Frank and I have been through Port Canaveral a few times, and it seemed like it was pretty secure. We moved pretty fast through, and it was a really nice experience. The next little piece of news we have for you today is kind of alarming. It surrounds a murder that happened on the Carnival Elation. Basically on September 10th, a man from Topeka, Kansas was arraigned in United States District Court on charges of murdering his wife during a Carnival cruise earlier this year. On January 19th, a passenger on the Carnival Elation sent a photograph of the couple's cabin in the area where the woman fell to her death. The woman reportedly died after she fell from her balcony on the 14th deck down to the 11th deck on the cruise ship, which sailed out of Jacksonville to Freeport in the Bahamas. The U.S. Department of Justice identified the husband as Eric Newman. He's 53 years old, from Topeka, Kansas, and he was charged with the murder of his wife, Tamara Tucker, who was 50 years old, of Lawson, Missouri. And the Department of Justice press release doesn't mention any details regarding the murder, just that they're reviewing everything. And yeah, so that's pretty sad. We get the question all the time, how hard is it to fall off a cruise ship? And let me tell you, it's pretty difficult to fall off a cruise ship. Those railings are pretty high. So, I don't know. Now, the next bit of news is very exciting for Frank and I, and probably everybody within the Cruising with Wheels community who is confined to a wheelchair. It's surrounding Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and what they've done is they've teamed up with John Sage of Sage Travel to assist them in vetting shore excursions. Let's start out by talking about who John Sage is. Now, John Sage is from Sage Travel, and he's committed to providing customized, truly accessible holiday travel for disabled and elderly clients. And they deal exclusively in accessible travel to European destinations, and they really understand the challenges that go into traveling when you're disabled. And they look at, as far as Sage Travel is concerned, European tourist attractions, ports, hotels, and transportation. Now, John Sage was injured in a snow skiing accident in 2001 when he was 22 years old, and it sustained a T4 incomplete spinal cord injury. Since 2001, he's visited Europe 16 times, over 140 plus cities in his wheelchair. And in the spring of 2008, after his 6th trip to Europe, he realized there had to be a better way to plan a wheelchair accessible trip to Europe. Upon realizing that there was really no one out there who was providing all of the comprehensive information that someone in a wheelchair or with other mobility issues would need to make a trip to Europe, he began creating and setting up his accessible travel company, which is known as Sage Travel. So bravo to John. That's pretty much why we started Cruising with Wheels, as there was really no information out there about accessibility. So we kind of have the same philosophy. Now, Royal Caribbean has partnered with him to help them choose and vet shore excursions. And the reasons why they chose John is because he has a lot of experience within Europe, and he's within the Caribbean as well. And he basically says that, you know, some can't roll where others can walk. Some can't walk where others are able, and some may be disabled or seniors or both. And recently there was a survey of that 1 in every 4 adults in the United States has a disability, mobility being the most common after the age of 44. So after this birthday, I'm in real big trouble. And so adding to its list of cruise industry firsts, Royal Caribbean Cruises has partnered with the travel company specializing in broadening vacation opportunities for these guests that have limited mobility. And I just wanted to read you a little quote. And it is, "We did this because we have accessible shore excursions, but most of them are panoramic tours. And this is from Ron Pettit. He's the NCL Director of Disability Inclusion and ADA Compliance. And he continues on, it's a bus with a lift or a van with a lift. And basically, you're seeing the city from a bus. Our guests want more of an authentic experience. And that's pretty much what John does, is he seeks out ways to travel in your chair and see these countries the best possible ways. So kudos to Royal Caribbean for hiring an expert, and I hope this opens up a whole new possibility of what type of shore excursions we can take in the future with Royal Caribbean. I'm going to link John Sage's web page in the description. It's a very good source for shore excursions. All of them will be private shore excursions at this point. But know in the future, when you're traveling with Royal Caribbean at least, that they will have a more broadened mobility impairment shore excursions to offer. And finally, the last bit of news we have for you is particularly exciting for Frank and I, and probably everybody that's going on the group cruise with us. It's all about NCL, and in particular, the NCL Encore. They announced on September 11th, just a few days ago, that the artwork for the NCL Encore will be done by Eduardo Aranz Bravo. He's a Spanish artist. He's from Barcelona, and he created the hull art for the fourth and final ship of the Breakaway Plus class, which is the NCL Encore, and it's going to debut in November of 2019. A representation of his modern and abstract style will be on the ship's hull and features what he calls a labyrinth of color inspired by the life by the sea in Barcelona. And he wants to pay tribute to the vibrant guest experience, which the Norwegian brand is recognized. And that's a direct quote from NCL. Apparently, Frank Del Rio, the president and chief executive officer of NCL, played a key role in the selection of Eduardo as the hull artist. And he was inspired by his work for many years. So it's pretty interesting. And Del Rio is quoted to say, "We are well known for our iconic hull designs and know that Aranz Bravo's lively design will complement the colorful destinations in the Caribbean that the Norwegian Encore will visit when she debuts next year. Eduardo's design will be a perfect complement to the collection of hull art within our fleet and is a testament to the dynamic experience our guests will have on board." And that's a quote from Andy Stewart, the president and chief executive officer. And he says that he's proud to welcome him to the Norwegian Cruise Line family. And we're excited to have this information and to see what the hull art is kind of going to look like. As you know, we met Wyland, and you've seen his beautiful hull art on the NCL Bliss. Guy Harvey is another artist that's done some of the ships. They seem to pick some great artists for these ships. This is actually probably going to be, in my opinion, the first kind of impressionistic, free-flowing art. So it's very exciting. Can't wait to see it in person. We want to remind everybody to click that subscribe button and find us on all of our social medias, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. And hit that subscribe button. And until next time, travel safe and cruise often.